A viewer sent in these PlayStation 2s because they don't power on, and we're going to try and fix that. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Justin, and I try to fix broken electronics. Let's see if we can fix this viewer's PlayStation 2s. The first one I'm going to take a look at, I think, is going to be the PS2 Slim. I'm going to start with this one because they sometimes have the simple issue of the port being a little bit mangled. And the viewer did send in the power brick, so we're going to test this out and make sure it's not the power brick and that is actually something wrong with the console. And then if so, we'll have to tear this down. Okay, so the power brick gives us... Okay, it does give us a light. Oh, okay, there we go. Look at that, that's a very intermittent light. You can see that. I'll get closer to the camera, so... Light, no light, light, no light. All I'm doing is wiggling this port right here, and that's giving me a light, no light situation. So that right there tells me that it's probably has to do with where the connection for this port comes in at. So if I hold it, I have a light, it does power on. Feel fan spin. Let's see. Let's see if it will spin the disc. Well, it's spinning the disc, but when I hold that pad there, so that button might also be a little bit, need a little clean out, but it does sound like it's spinning. Well, the good news is that the console does seem to work. It doesn't seem to be the power brick, it just seems to be where this port is connecting, so we'll get this apart and see if we can't fix that up for him. Does look like it's already been opened, at least once, or someone tried to open it. That little label there is torn, but otherwise, it's got all of its little feet, so it does seem to be in pretty good condition. And this is a 70,012 model. So one of the Slims, I think one of the earlier Slims probably. All right, well, let's get this apart. So I don't know if I even really need to take it any more apart than this, just getting the main part out of the case, because I can get to this area, and if you see, I'll show it under the microscope, but this is the area that we're focused on. Let's get it under the microscope because that'll be better. Here we go, and you can see right there, see that crack around the solder? If I was to plug this in, and you can see how it moves. See that spark? So it's making connection, not making connection. That's why we're getting the intermittent power problem. If I can just reflow that as I'm soldered to it, it should fix that issue. And this is a common issue on the PS2 Slims. Plugging and unplugging that port just fatigues that over time. Simple enough just to add some flux around that port and let it solder. Reheat that area. Both sides, get a nice, good, consistent bit of solder. Add a little bit more. Okay, and that is really all you need to do in this case. And hopefully the rest of it will work. It did seem like that button might have some issues, so while we're this far apart, we might as well clean that out. Clean this up. And you can see here just how much better that looks. You know, cracks in it. This probably, I'm not going to wiggle it, but it won't move as much. It won't cause any issues. So that's great. That's fantastic. And then here is our switch. What we're gonna do this time is see how the switch does. Okay, so that switch does still work. So we'll leave it intact for now. If we have to, it's not too hard to come in and solder a little wire between there and there just to bridge that connection permanently so we won't have to rely on the switch. But that seems like it might be done. We'll give it a test and hopefully this PS2 will be fixed. And now for the test. All right, we got power and it's not going off. Great. Turns on. Beautiful. See if it will at least spin the disc up. Sounds like it. Spinning up. There it goes. You can hear it spinning. Okay, beautiful. We'll get it hooked up to a TV just to make sure it reads the disc, but it does seem to be working fine. That switch is not a problem, and the power is on. So we managed to fix this PlayStation 2 Slim, which is awesome. I'll get it reassembled completely, and then we'll get to the other PlayStation 2. Okay, all right, fully assembled, back together. I will just say that if you have a PS2 Slim that has an intermittent power issue like that, where the light's coming on, off, you know, when you move the power cable, that's likely the culprit. It's just not making a good connection here. That is fatigued and broken. I would encourage you to give it a shot. Try and fix it yourself if you are so brave. Even with a cheap soldering iron, you know, one like the Radio Shack versions or something, I think that might be enough to melt that one spot. It's all you're really trying to do is just melt that solder around there and just get it to reflow and make a good connection. So you wouldn't need anything more expensive than that to get that done. And that's really, you know, that's your indicator. If it wiggles and power comes on and off, that is the problem. If it's no power at all, it could still be that, but also could be a fuse on there, which in that case, those cheap stations aren't gonna be the best. But I hope this helps someone out if their PlayStation 2 Slim is dead. And now we'll look at the big brother, older big brother, PS2 Fat. Man, this is a good condition console too. Look at that. And it has not been opened. It's a 3000 model, so one of the really early ones, original ones. Hopefully we can fix this up and get it working as well. And again, he sent in the cables, which is very helpful. We'll see if we have any power at all or if it's completely dead. Go this way and turn the power on. Okay, we do have power. Okay, so it does power on. And it has a game disc in there, The Incredible Hulk. Okay, let me... I'm a little stumped. I really thought this was a no power issue. Let me check the email and hook it up to a TV, see if it's displaying anything. But I mean, this certainly does power on, which is great. I mean, that fan noise is annoying, but okay, yeah, so the email does say it was a no power issue, which it clearly does have power. So I'm gonna email the guy just to make sure. I don't know if he sent the wrong one in or if he just hadn't tested it and, you know, it didn't work one time before, but now it does. So either way, this does seem to be working, and this is really in great condition. So that's awesome. I don't even have to tear it down or apart, and it's still got the sticker here, which some people enjoy having still intact, but I actually enjoy ripping them because they don't mean anything. They're just there to scare you from opening it up. But I will still test this out on a TV along with the PS2 Slim to make sure that they're reading discs fine and displaying everything great. And then I'll email him back and get these shipped back to the viewer so that he can have his 2 PlayStation 2s, which was awesome. All right, well, that was a lot simpler than I was expecting. The PlayStation 2 Slim does seem to be working well, and that port fixed, so this is good to go. And the bigger one seems to be working fine, which is great. Not great content, but it is great for the viewer because it doesn't have to be fixed. So I was expecting maybe the power board. That's what I would have tested first if it didn't have any power at all. The power board, just to make sure that it was getting the 12 volts that it's supposed to, or outputting the 12 volts that it's supposed to. And from there, I would, diagnose what the problem was. If the best solution usually for those is just to buy a new power board. You can buy them on eBay, AliExpress, other places. They're going to work fine. They're not going to cause you any problems. And again, really, and it's easier to do that than it is to try and find the capacitor that may have, sometimes the capacitor is a blatant defect, it's bulging or it's leaking. Then you probably you know what to try first to replace. But sometimes it's really hard to discover which capacitor in a circuit board is causing you a problem because they don't always show the signs, and you can't really test them while they're inside. You have to take them out, and then you can test them and see if they're outputting the right capacitance. For those, usually if it's a no power situation, it's going to be the power board that's giving you the issue, and I've rarely seen anything inside on the main motherboard. But obviously there are chances it could be something there, a fuse on there that's blown. So, but definitely would start with the power board first and foremost, and then go from there. Unfortunately, not the greatest video for that, but for the PS2 Slim, that was a good fix, so I'm very happy about that. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something useful from it, and if you did, why not hit that like button down below. And if you're new around here and you like this content and want to see more of it, it'd be awesome if you subscribe to the channel. That really helps the channel grow and helps get the content out to more people who might have issues with their PlayStations or other consoles. And whatever you do, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.